Everybody, welcome to my channel, Be Free Now with Maria. So today I'm going to start out with this deck, the Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, and I'm going to pick the card on top, which I've already shuffled my deck, and it says, release self-judgment. And the back says, even the opinions you have about yourself are not necessarily true. Therefore, you don't need to take whatever you hear in your own mind personally. So this is so true and interesting. Our opinions about ourselves not being necessarily true is interesting because we buy into whatever we tell ourselves, whatever we believe, we buy into it and we live by it. That's really, right, the most important piece, right? Not only do we believe it, but we live by it, meaning that all of our actions, all of our decisions are based on these beliefs, are based on these thoughts that we have about ourselves. And if they're not positive, then we find ourselves, feeling yucky or holding ourselves back, procrastinating, sabotaging, and so forth, and blaming other people because we project, right? And if they're positive, then the same is true. It's just in a positive direction. In other words, we're going to respond to it as well, just that the outcome is going to be positive because what we're thinking about ourselves is positive. The thing is that we're generally not conditioned to think positively about ourselves because we go through a lot of things early on in our lives, right? That sends us the message that we're not good in some way, we're not good enough, or there's something wrong with us, or we're not as good as somebody else. And it leaves us, right, spinning, say kind of like out of control. It's like we're spinning out of control because we don't, if we don't stop to recognize that this is what we're doing, then it just runs amok. It takes over. It's like everything that we do, it's going to be, more like on a subconscious level. And we're going to just keep on doing it because we're not aware that we're doing it. And this is why self-awareness is so important. Now, self-awareness is not enough to change, everything, but it's a starting point because it gives us the information that we need. We need to be able to look at ourselves, and be honest with ourselves, to recognize patterns, to see what we're doing, right? We can't change something if we don't even know that we're doing it. If we're not aware of it, right? What are we going to stop? What are we going to change? Or how can we, go in a different direction? We can't because we don't know. So we want to give ourselves, right, the opportunity to get to know ourselves, because when we do, then, right, we're more conscious about what it is that we're thinking and what it is that we believe, and right, and how we show up. And that, right, affects then what we're capable of learning and what we're capable of modifying. And that changes things for us. And that's important, right? Because when we think negatively about ourselves and we're not doing anything about it, right, then we will be judging ourselves negatively and we will be taking things personally as a result. And this will affect not only how we feel, right, but what we dare to do. It's going to affect our courage, it's going to affect our relationships, and it really just spills into all aspects of our lives. And so we want to be, right, mindful that this is something that we're doing to ourselves, even though it feels like it's happening out there, it's really happening inside of our own conscious mind, or subconscious mind. All right, but before I go any further, I do want to pick a word from my bag of words to see what else I'm inspired to share in relation to this message. Okay, so, faith. I love that. Okay. So faith is something that can be challenging, for us. To walk, with so much faith when there's so much uncertainty, and this uncertainty, feels uncomfortable, or, we're worried about, what could happen. And those kinds of things, right, blocks our faith. It's almost like I'm getting the image of like, walking in the dark, and trying to feel our way through life. That's how it can feel sometimes. But when we're in that space, we want to also pause and notice that, right, that's how we're feeling in that moment, and that's how we're showing up to life. so that we can consciously turn ourselves around, right? By reminding ourselves that we're not really walking alone, right? And that, yes, there are things that we can see, and yes, there's uncertainty, but we're not walking alone. And when we remind ourselves, right, that we're not walking alone, it makes me think of this affirmation of Louisa Hay, right? It's like, and we tell ourselves, right, all is well, I am safe, right? And we can add, right, I am protected and I don't walk alone. When we start to change the dialogue, right, and start to speak to ourselves like that, right, we're able to like balance ourselves and not allow ourselves to just get swept away in one direction, right, in the fear direction of all the uncertainty that's in front of us. We're reminding ourselves, right, that there is more to life than what we're living or experiencing in that moment, right? That there's this energy, right, that's divine, that surrounds us, that supports us. And when we remind ourselves of that, then we're able to create some balance for ourselves. And we can obviously take it further in so many different directions based on our own personal beliefs. But when we're incorporating, right, something than just what our five senses is showing us, or our belief system is telling us, right? Because the belief system is just something that's created. It's not necessarily truth, right? So when we go past that, right, and we start to incorporate, right, a more expansive view about ourselves and about life, and even incorporating, right, this divine energy that I believe lives and breathes through us, then when we incorporate that, we are creating a shift and not allowing ourselves to get swept away or entangled in that moment. We're able to kind of start breaking free from it and moving back from it and realizing, okay, my mind is running amok again, right? And we want to bring it back. We want to, right, bring back that faith and that trust into our conscious mind so that we don't get caught up in the entanglement of our beliefs and our fears and our self-judgment and everything else that comes along with it, right? So we want to, break free from that, because life is interesting in lots of ways. But to keep it really short, I'll say that even though there are lots of waves on the journey, there are things that we can do, whether we're using psychological tools or spiritual perspective, to balance ourselves and to ground ourselves and to bring ourselves out of any mental trance that we're in, to rebalance ourselves. And life is interesting. It will entice us, in many different directions. It will scare us in many different ways. But it's our job to pay attention to what's happening within our mind and within our body so that we can function on purpose, as opposed to letting our minds run amok and then attacking ourselves, mentally, and judging ourselves and holding ourselves back. And then not only judging ourselves, but judging those around us, and then creating all these dynamics that feel really yucky, because they're going to create yucky outcomes that then create the yucky feelings. So we want to be mindful of that and work on breaking free from that so that we can live this life more on our terms than on the terms of our five senses. All right, so I'm going to end with that. I hope that this video helped you in some way. If it did, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. And if you want to find out more about the work that I'm doing, you can check out the information down below in the description and visit my website. All right, thank you and have a beautiful day. Bye for now.